You are listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast, conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us on bringjoyforward.com and join us in our community group on Facebook. We now take you to the episode. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I am Ramona Crabtree-Falkner of Authentic Life Journey, and I'm joined today with Shannon Brown of Open Door Healing.
Hello.
We're giggly this morning, so we are very excited to be in this time together and share a little bit about shadow work.
Oh, my favorite place, my favorite subject. Not.
So you will learn from each of us here with Bring Joy Forward that we all have different approaches with shadow work and different experiences with it. And Shannon and I have talked many times over about our aversion to it. That is in the past for me, but there has been this resistance to get to doing it. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about that because oftentimes when we drop into a spiritual journey, we're just like, okay, I want to be, rainbows and unicorns and mermaids and light and all the things that are making me feel good. And we kind of find ourselves hit with a brick wall of a shadow sometimes. And then it's like, but this is what I want to do. But what I have come to learn is that I can approach it from a place that feels more authentic to me. And so I've learned to embrace my shadow work and to love it unconditionally when it shows up instead of feeling overwhelmed or overtaken by it. How about you, Shannon?
So I'm not quite there yet. I'm moving in that direction. Yes, I do have an aversion to shadow work. I dip my toe in it when needed, and then I quickly jump out. It is. I have found it's not the most pleasant experience to excavate all that gunk that we've hidden in different places. I sometimes envision it as a cobweb, an office filled with cobwebs, and there's just file cabinet after file cabinet. And once in a while, a file cabinet opens and says, we need to work on this, sweetie pie. And so I run in as fast as I can, grab the file, and slam that door and lock it until the next time. I mean, that's how I kind of envision it. Now, I have been given some information that this year is a big year for me. It can be for expansion, for growth, breakthroughs, if I am willing to do the work, which means shadow work.
Right.
I understand that. And so I am collecting my Clorox wipes, my Lysol, my vacuum cleaner, whatever I need to go in there to make it maybe even, and again, I have a very vivid imagination, and I'm already imagining going in there, cleaning it up, maybe adding some artwork and some flowers so that when I go into that cobweb, musty, smelly, some candles place, it's not a place of fear. It's not a place of, that I don't want to go into, that it's somewhere that it's welcoming to me. And here are their gifts. But I think I just need to clean it up a little bit and, change my perception of it.
Yeah. I loved the instant download you got there for a second. She's in the process of sharing what she's going to do to clean it up. Oh, candles. So that is how it works with our intuition. We tend to be in the moment, and you got to claim it the moment it happens. So thanks for sharing that live and in person, that journey of collecting intuitive message. But so I can resonate with your feels on that. What I can say is, as a mindfulness coach, I have learned that actively being open to what's showing up as an opportunity. So I started working with shadow work in a different way because the abrasiveness of how I was experiencing it was too much for me, and it would just cause me to implode. Like I'd be down for the count for a few days. So instead, I really started cultivating the eye of the witness. And so this is one of the primary tools that I use in all of my coaching and in my own self-healing journey, is that the more that I can be the witness to what's happening, the less it feels like something's happening to me per se. We get stuck into that place of, oh my gosh, this thing is happening to me, instead of this thing is happening for me. Like, how is this experience happening for my greater good and benefit? And so when I started to shift my perspective from victim mentality to mother nurture mentality. So this is the root chakra archetypes, the victim and the mother. And I work in the chakras primarily as my medicine, because it helps me then to be like, okay, this is what's showing up. How can I bring in the higher vibration tools that are associated with this chakra to help? And so for me personally, when I am in a why is this happening to me mentality, that is my victim archetype showing up. And so then that says to me, how can I mother? How can I nurture? How can I care for? How can I hold? How can I love this experience that is showing up that is causing me distress? So by doing that, it helps me to shift from running away and fear to stepping in and bringing light, right? So this is where for me the process of shadow work becomes more easeful. So as I bring in the love, the nurturing, the caring, when I start witnessing, okay, wow, this thing over here happened, and I don't know the answer of why it happened just yet, but I do know that there is an answer coming. And that does not mean that I'm not, like running around with my hair on fire for a little bit. Sometimes that happens. And then I'm able to be like, all right, I'm going to step out of the fire now, because I burned off all of the chaos that was around, and I can step in and emerge as the brilliance that opportunity gifted me.
Right. So two things that I'm going to throw out there. So yes, that instead of looking at a situation of this happened to me, all right, trying to come from a different perspective of this happened to me. And so what is next? I did have a situation this week with an airline switching my flights from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and getting in at 1 a.m. the next day. And I was furious. I was like, that's what I get for going through a cut rate, blah, blah, blah. And then having to go through all that rigmarole of trying to find another flight. And I knew that I needed to go into the situation before I went to start the process of finding another flight. I needed to calm myself down. I needed to come from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. And so I did some tapping on it. EFT, if you don't know what tapping is, look it up. It's an awesome tool. Did you see that? I just released, and my body is so used to, after doing 10 years of it, it's like, oh, we're tapping, we're releasing. And I don't even have to know what I'm releasing. But so after doing that, I was able to go in, make different flight arrangements, but I came at it instead of in capital letters, this happened to me. It was, well, this happened to me, and now I'm going to take care of it. And I don't know why I had to switch airlines, or why I'm getting in an hour earlier, or why it had to happen that way, but obviously something had to go. And this was just a piddly little thing that happened, but I could have blown it way out of proportion. All right. I mean, I had my little moment, and then it was like, okay. And so that's what I am also noticing as I continue to dabble my big toe, sometimes a little toe, in my shadow work, is that I will, instead of placing it in that file cabinet for later, I am willing to do the work right now.
Yeah.
I'm willing to face. And it doesn't necessarily mean, yes, you're working with your chakras and you're doing all that. Not every time does it mean that you have to go into a deep meditation. And sometimes it's just confronting it and saying, hey, what's going on? And what can I do about it right now? If I do need to work more on it, on this problem, then yes, let's do it. So not everything working with shadow has to be a huge explosive thing, but it's also, again, being the witness, having a different perspective on this is just another grr in my day. I mean, and of course, not taking it personally. The airline wasn't doing this to me personally. Yeah. And we just read the 4 agreements in our book club a while back. And that was, and of course, I've read this book at least 20 times, but it's been a few years. And that's what really stuck to me was when I do get in that grr moment, is this is not personal. Being able to look from that higher perspective. Second thing, which I really think is interesting, this is the second time that you said hair on fire. Okay. And what is interesting about that to me is that this morning's journaling with Marcia was about fire. Okay. And when the universe wants you to get a message, or it was about candles and experiencing what a candle can do for you, lighting it, looking at it, meditating on it, stuff. But I took it the other way because I love fire. I love fire pits. I love my fireplace. I don't normally have burning candles anymore because I forget. So, I have the little votives, battery operated ones. So I have that thing. I save the candles for maybe specific moments when I know I'm going to blow it out. But it also reminded me that we do sometimes have to have that when a fire gets out of hand, let's say you think about Yellowstone when they have the fires, right? Mm-hmm. And we all think it's devastating, but it does allow for open grazing land to come, and there are pine trees there. The pine cones have to get to a certain high temperature in order to grow. So yes, we think of it as, or even if somebody's house burns down, yes, it's devastating, but it does give them an opportunity for new growth, new experiences if they so choose to. Okay, so again, somehow this fire is coming into shadow work. So maybe walking into the fire and coming out on the other side. This
really is bringing Pele into my mind, the goddess Pele. Like she completely destroys so that renewed earth can come up. So when things are being destroyed, yeah, it's necessary. So if we apply this to the shadow work, it's when something is falling apart, and that's what it feels like oftentimes when these things happen. It just feels like something's imploded or it's falling apart or it's not going the way that we wanted it to go. And then we're trying to control something that's uncontrollable.
Right.
So I loved what you said about it could be the little things too, because I'm always about macro, micro. Right. So we can have really big, spiritual experiences that we are having and really big growth and really big vision. And this applies to either end of the yin and yang here, right? The action and rest and or that process of manifesting. Like if you can actually take this and look at it as like I could go into this for days. So but the reality is that every single practice that we have in our spiritual journey can be experienced in a macro, a macro way and a micro way. So we can have really big journeys that last for long periods of times, and we can have spots, moments that happen throughout the day. So being able to approach these in yoga, we call this samskara. So these are our belief systems and our behavioral patterns that cause us disharmony, right? And that's ultimately how I view shadow work is that it's the parts of myself that I have either ignored, avoided, or damned that are coming up and being asked to be given attention so that I can heal and grow and love.
I love that.
Because when I can love every aspect of myself, every aspect, including the messiness, including the girl that comes in on fire to the meeting. As I did, I was in a space this morning and I was like, oh, I am all over the place, to the point that I think I dumped this out of a recording and had to start all over again. So like there was no ground happening. And so I had to, like, we had to take some dirt and throw it on the fire to bring the energy down. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because it allowed me to go, okay, you need to slow down, girl. Like you are moving too fast. Slow it down. Slow yourself down. And as soon as I slowed myself down, we managed to get where we needed to be. But if we can observe any of these teachings that we're talking about as an opportunity, as a gift, as a way to bring more love, more light, more abundance of joy into our experience, then it doesn't have to feel so heavy. And I think that, at least in my perception, when I was first introduced to shadow work, it felt heavy.
Yes. Yes. Same here. I think we both had similar experiences with, how we were introduced to shadow work. And I think a lot of people were introduced that way, as it's something it's very heavy. You need to put your big girl pants on. You just need to go through it and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I don't mind putting on my pretty mucking boots and going through the bullshit that's out there. But at the same time, I also want to look around and say, oh my gosh, look at that beautiful flower growing through the crack, or noticing I'm not. Yeah. And I think, again, that a lot of us, when shadow work first became the, I don't know, in vogue thing to do. I mean, it's a necessary thing to do, but
it's always been there. It's just becoming more predominantly talked about.
Right, it's becoming more predominant, and there are so many, as different as we all are. There's so many different ways to do it. I personally, again, like I talked about my little file cabinet room, I prefer to bring the light in. Let me shine some light in here first. Let me just, let's start out with the light and embrace it, but embrace it as, and I love that what you were saying, embrace it as a journey, and that the gifts that you're going to receive from it. And I just know that because of previous shadow work that I've done before, that when those shadows do pop up, I'm able to handle it much better rather than, stomping around, rah, 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 which I'm not saying I don't do still, but I give myself, but here's the thing. I give myself permission to do that. It's okay if what's happening is not what I want to be doing right now.
Yeah,
and it's okay that I'm upset about it, but let's just not stay there.
Right.
Let's find out why am I upset about this?
Yes.
Why? I mean, when if the same particular situation happened to somebody else, it wouldn't cause a flinch on them.
Right.
And so I think, and that's part of it too, is okay, yeah, this is happening. What are my beliefs about this happening that is causing this discomfort, that is causing, and that is coming up to be healed?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I love.
I think I lost her for a moment, folks.
Okay, yeah, me too. I don't know what happened there. So,
so I heard I love.
Apparently, that was very powerful where I was going. So I love the concept of, when we are heartbroken, that's how we're letting the light in. So just know that anytime a shadow aspect shows up, that it is a gift. It is an opportunity. And if you can shift your mindset around from it being like, oh my gosh, and it feels heavy and intense, and shift it into what is my opportunity? What is my gift? What am I going to gain by stepping into it and loving it instead of feeling the need to run away from it? Because it's the running away from it that continues to have it exist, right? So the more that we resist, it persists. So the invitation here is to step into shadow work with love.
Yes.
And take it from two people who have resisted. It's actually a whole lot easier to step in with love than it is to resist it.
And just make sure when you're starting this journey, phone a friend, or have your group of people that you can call on. Have tools ready. That, I mean, every single, it seemed, at least for me, not every tool works for every shadow. They have just as many personalities as we do, right? Yep. So, there's just not one particular way to work with them either. And so, and also knowing that, like, if something doesn't work, say, okay, that's not what this particular shadow needed. Let's find something else. And it could be just as easy as listening to a meditation you've never listened to, or just going outside and saying, okay, universe, I need help, send it to me. And I don't even know why I'm still amazed at what happens, but when I do that, when I release and say, okay, I'm ready to deal with this, send me the tools I need, things just drop in. Or I might get a phone call within 30 seconds from somebody that I hadn't even been thinking about, So again, allowing the release in whatever way that shadow wants to work too.
Trust in the process.
Trust in the process. Yes.
So thank you for joining us for our chat today. And we hope that we've given you some ideas and inspirations on how you could access a little more ease with shadow work.
Yes.
Have a good day.
Thanks. Ciao.
You have been listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast. Conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us at bringjoyforward.com, and we'd love to have you join us in our community Facebook group. Thank you for listening.